rivers are magnificent to explore. I've had so many wonderful adventures in the great outdoors here in Michigan. However, if we were to clear the foggy mists of time, we would find a primitive forest, a virgin forest, occupied by the Native American Indians. And we could hear firsthand, as tribal elders and storytellers recounted, the colorful legends of the Anishinaabe people. Many of these legends are dark and troubling, as such is the case with the story I'm about to tell you, the legend I'm about to tell you. And it is titled The Legend of the Cursed Indian Altar's Revenge. Now, the explorer La Salle, having heard the natives speak of a great river, headed out to find the Ohio River. He obtained the services of 2 French priests to accompany him, and they were Fathers Dollier and Galigny. And the fathers intended to found a Christian mission with the Indian people that they came upon along that great river. In the area of Hamilton, Ontario, on September 24th, 1669, they met another more experienced explorer by the name of Adrian Joliet. Joliet had, with Indian guides, ventured south along the Michigan shore of Lake Huron, through the St. Clair River, the Detroit River, and the north shore of Lake Erie. Joliet met with the missionaries and made a map of the waters that he had used in his travels. He implored them to stick to the route that he gave them, and reassured them that there were many tribes along that route that they could expose to Catholicism. The priests took leave of La Salle's party and traveled north, as Joliet's map had indicated for them to do. And they traveled on the Michigan side of the Detroit River near where the Detroit Renaissance Center would one day stand. There, they found an Indian shrine or altar. Now, I imagine the devout Catholic fathers were infuriated at the sight of this pagan altar. It is said that the Ottawa people worshipped at this natural stone formation, and they attended it, painted a face on it, and were likely quite happy with the sort of worship that they were conducting. It became a sacred place for the Anishinaabe people. They would bring offerings to the idols, such as they would bring furs and food and tobacco, honoring it as the Great Spirit, known as Gitchi-Manitou. Now, as I said, the fathers didn't like it and determined that these people would no longer worship false gods and stone idols. They, or Father Galigny, toppled over the rock and smashed it into small rubble for the most part. And the biggest piece of the pieces fell into the river. And in order to leave no trace of the idol behind, the fathers gathered up all the smaller pieces and put them in their canoe. And then they paddled the canoe into the deeper part of the river. And once there, they threw them all into the water. Well, one might think that things would be done for as far as that idol is concerned. But let's see what really happens. Some Indians had gathered on the shore, and they had watched, totally dumbstruck by the total and sheer audacity of the white missionaries, how they would take their property, cast it down, and destroy it. The Great Spirit, Gitchi-Manitou, told the Ottawa people there to recover the large piece which had fallen into the river. And they were further instructed, where the priests had thrown away the smaller pieces, to take that larger piece and put it where they had deposited the smaller pieces in the river. And once accomplished, the rocks joined back together, according to the legend, but became a monstrous serpent that protected the place from all intrusion. Now, 10 years later, in 1679, La Salle ascended to the Straits of Mackinac in his ill-fated ship, the Griffon, of which there is another video on my channel about the Griffon. I'll try to remember to leave that in the comments section. It was then that the Indians invoked Gitchi-Manitou's help. It is said that many strange forms rose up from the waters and pushed the good ship Griffon north through Lake St. Clair, the St. Clair River, then finally into Lake Huron, where it was whipped about by a furious storm. And finally, the sturdy little ship reached St. Ignace, or Michilimackinac, as it was called by the Native Americans, and it was here that LaSalle and crew rested for several days before sailing to Green Bay, Wisconsin. The ship with furs, LaSalle ordered the captain to take the ship back to Niagara while he continued on his way along the western coast of Lake Michigan by canoe. All went well with the Griffon until she again entered the waters of Lake Huron. No one really knows what happened after that, but the little ship was never seen again, or heard from again as far as that goes. The Indians believed that the water spirits conjured up to protect them from the intrusion of the white man had lain in wait in Lake Huron for the Griffon to return. When she did, they drove her relentlessly to her destruction. I've known many Native American people, and I knew a chief of the Mankato Indian Reservation and his wife, and they were very spiritual Christian people, but the Indians still believed their old legends, many of them do, and who is to say what power these... Thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this little look at a very unusual legend of Michigan's past, and love you all very much, and hopefully, God willing, I'll see you again.